Okay. Hello, people. Hello, Karma. Let me put this here. Guys, if you're here, you have to subscribe in order to chat with me, I think. I'm gonna be diving into the Bitcoin price action and then some altcoins on request. Sup, Kilo? Nice to see you here. So lately we've been breaking the trend line, the upward trend line. We made a new all-time high here. And yeah, we broke the uptrend basically. So we created a lower low eventually over here. Not yet broken this bit over here, but I think it will be soon. We just had a breakout and a small retest, continuation of the breakout. So if you dive into the 1 hour here, we had a trend breakout from up here. The trend broke down. Sup, Dave? Thank you for the sub. And basically the gap closed, which means a perfect entry for a short on the gap. That's why I also keep, like, you know, the lines in here. In total made another gap automatically because of it. And yeah, so price went down over here, closed this gap, price went up, closed this gap, and price continuation down. And eventually closed this one, and went to the next one, which is a daily gap. And over here you also have like a double bottom formed. And on the neckline you see over here, it closed it. So that was also a perfect entry for you. At the moment, Bitcoin, like in my eyes, if I zoom out on Bitcoin, it's pretty basic. Let me just remove these real quick. So this is a potential, but we could go down towards 94 again. Is this sound, by the way, good? Just let me know. Otherwise I have to adjust it a bit. So yeah, I think we have a potential of going back towards like 96 or 94k on the Bitcoin price. And right now we just had a breakout on the first gap. Now I want a retest towards this gap over here, so we can have a continuation down. And even if it's closing the gaps over here, we could potentially even go further down into the 85. But that's all for later, and you know, we have to see if we're gonna be making lower lows in the first place. Because it will be invalid as well if the Bitcoin price, you know, gets higher than, let's say, 110, maybe even lower, maybe like 109, 700 maybe. Sounds good? All right, perfect. So this is basically like very basic gap trading. People call it fair value gap. However, a fair value gap is slightly different. I'll show you an example of it. This is a fair value gap where you have 3 candles. Let me just do this. We have 3 candles, this one, and this one. And basically the wick, like this wick over here, came towards here, right? From the first one. And the third one had a wick from here to here. Which means that this area here is a gap. You call it a fair value gap basically. But what I've learned, and like 9 out of the 10 times, price will go towards the beginning of the impulse, which also has a gap mostly. So over here we have a gap, but it's the start of an impulse up. Over here we have a gap where you have a start of impulse up. And if you zoom in, it always does the same thing. Like if I go back towards here, yeah, we have an impulse here towards the downside, and this creates a gap on, let's say, 1 hour over here. So you could use an indicator like this or just read it yourself, because I can see it from my eyes. Like we have a impulse down, we have a impulse down. So these are areas where price wants to go back to. And as you can see, eventually price hits the line. If I was trading with the fair value gap from before, oh crap. If I was trading with the fair value gap from here, normally what you would do, you would already be in the trade from over here, at your stop loss somewhere over here. But watch how the price action goes. It goes through, okay, and then goes down again. So you're safe, but it could be way better if you just had your entry over here and your stop loss over here. So your risk management here is like minimum, like let's say 0.18%. If I'm going to be using like a 20% or 10%, this in total will just be 2% risk of your, you know, your whole margin. And eventually the potential of this is to go back to the resistance and break it. I mean the support of here and this gap, because this gap closed over here. We didn't make a higher high, So we made a lower low. Over here we had a lower low. So this first indication, like, it's an indication, okay, heads up, we broke through this line. We broke through the trend line. We might go back and retest the highs, which it did, this gap over here. We have our indication, confirmation. We didn't make a higher high. Price will continue going down. And eventually, price did go down. Where would it go down to? Exactly. Gaps. Let's say this is the neckline. Oh, it's a 1 day gap, never mind. Let's go towards the 1 day. So over here, eventually, you have a 1 day gap. Let me just turn this off, this is annoying. So this 1 day gap also has a meaning. A wick gave us the entry. And yes, you could be more in detail if you zoomed in. Let's say the 1 hour. Yeah, because the first line was our 1 day gap. But you could have like a neckline entry, because this over here is a double bottom, which is a reversal pattern. So it could be a bit more, you know, fine touched, or like, yeah, you know what I mean. So yeah, you have these fair value gaps, but I just call these ones impulses, or like value gaps in my eyes. In Dutch we call it oksels. It's like an armpit in English. Very important, no impulse, wasting your time. Yeah, basically, like you can trade on like the fair value gaps over here, like this one as well, but at the end this is also start of an impulse. So whenever there's a downtrend going on, you can also use the value gaps to pick your entry. This value gap. Is this a value gap? Hold on. No. It didn't pick it correctly. Which means that this is a potential. Oh. This is a potential gap to be filled. And right now we broke through the downtrend from the target that we had earlier. In fact, it made a double bottom. So this double bottom here made sure that we broke through the trend line. And doing it, we closed our first impulse, which was over here. And this is also an impulse from the day, by the way. This green line, I think. And what I was saying in my TAs earlier as well is that, you know, it will most likely go up into this order block, like this impulse, like this gap, or this one, and then go down again. Down. Where to? Ta-da, the neckline. Because this was the double bottom. And like most patterns, or like most breakouts, there's also always going to be like a retest, which happened on this neckline here. You could have been on this exact price as well, but I already have my line set because this is a level. Let me just remove this. Because this is a level as well. Combine it with the pattern, which it broke through, so I had another order block over here. Doing so, knowing that, like, I was waiting for it to close over here first, and then go back again. But I noticed that it was accepting this basically and then going back. So what I did, I was at my trade from 103,400. Let me just change that to 103,400. There we go. This was my original entry. And as soon as I saw that the price was not accepting a continuation over here, I took out 60% off, and and 40% in case it does continue. And I went into a short, which is this short. I think it was over here somewhere. And basically the target that I had was this neckline, the level. So what I did, I just closed it a bit above the level, and whenever price went into my desired level, I was waiting for a bit of confirmation, which I got over here, and I bought back some more Bitcoins, which means that I took profit over here and I took profit over here. Well, I'm just waiting for price to go back up to the 108,650 again. Let's see if I can, yeah, okay, perfect. So what I did now, it basically went towards my gap. However, it didn't just fill it immediately. So maybe I had to be a bit more precise. Let's see, 282, and this is at 296. So I was off like, let's say six or eight bucks, like dollars, and then it would have taken out a TP for me, which would have been 25% basically, and then I would let the rest go on until over here. But this is an important message, like this is a important price action for me, because basically this is a golden pocket for some, which I don't really trade off, but most people do. They trade off a golden pocket, which is basically these two orange lines. And I can expect some price action over here. So price won't always go straight up and down, but price will always do like the snake pattern, like we'll just be snaking up in an uptrend. Any questions on this so far? Just feel free to ask anything if things are not clear or anything. So right now I'm just waiting for this price to continue up. However, I also see that we have been making higher lows and higher highs so far. So what we could expect now is price to go back here again, try and close that gap, or not, by the way. But at least for the price to go over here and then continuation up. Price to go over here, continuation up. Having higher highs, higher lows is just simple a uptrend. And whenever we're going to create a lower low over here, for example, price goes down through the line. So these 3 points are currently an uptrend line. If we create a lower low, then we have an indication, and then we have to wait for the confirmation, because if it's going to create a lower low and change price action towards the downtrend again, we're going to be seeing a lower high as well. And if I'm in a trade over here, and let's say we are making that lower low, I'm going to be waiting for price to go back up again and give me my confirmation, so I can exit my trade over here and maybe even go into a short. Because it's weekend right now, the price isn't really moving strongly. During the week, it's, you know, more active as always. But even in the weekends, I trade because this is from Tuesday. I have been in this short from over here. Price went down. I exited over here. I went into my long from here. Took out profit, rebought for continuation up. It's that simple basically. And especially if you zoom out, because whenever you do an analysis, always zoom out and then zoom in again. So start with a day, see, okay, what kind of trend are we in? So if we go back to October 2023, we created the lows and we had this high over here. How do you know how much to close out if it isn't going your way? I'll explain you in a minute, Kilo. But if you zoom out on Bitcoin, basically, we in October 23 we had this low and we created a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. So what we could expect now, and some people don't, you know, some people don't believe it, but if you zoom out, it's pretty basic. We created this higher high again. Let me remove this real quick. So we created this higher high again. Might not be the best one. You know, we could also, I would love to see it go over here eventually some point. But it still made a higher high. So what we could expect now is from Bitcoin to go over here and then continuation up. And I think that's currently happening because it broke this trend line. And this is way too impulsive. But eventually you had this trend line, this trend line over here as well, where price went up, made a, you know, the all-time high over then, and then broke through. So this was a perfect moment for you to just enter your short, for example. And I would have loved to see it go down here, because this is a gap. However, it bounced off this gap, I guess. Because if you zoom in, this is still a gap. Okay, this is way too much zoomed in. But you get the point. I still expect price to go down to the price that I just mentioned. Could either be this price or even this price for continuation. Unless it creates a lower low eventually, then we can see something like this happening. Kilo, how do you know how much to close out if it isn't going your way, or do you just use 60% each? So what I did over here is it's always good to take some type of profits, okay? So whenever you're in a trade and price could go down on you, because yes, it did broke through the trend line over here, and it had a response on the gap. What could happen from here, like if it didn't 100% made a higher high from this point on. So what the possibility on this is, basically because it didn't make that higher high yet, price has a potential of making a lower low. So taking out 60% over here, or 25%, however you want to call it, is in this case pretty smart to do, because you're just ensuring yourself to have a bit of profit. You could even put your stop loss at that point to break even, so to your point of entry. Then if price goes down to your entry again, you still had that profit that you took earlier. Because if I didn't take any profits here and price would continue going down into my stop loss, then I wasted 2 days, 1 or 2 days in profit to go down and make a loss eventually. So, and with crypto, you can just, you know, take out a portion of profit and then let the price continue going up. So right now it didn't hit my TP correctly. However, I do think that, you know, this is just some order blocks, because I was expecting price to go like this in the first place, retest, and continuation up. So others might have thought the same thing, place a short, and potentially go for this gap, or even further, this gap. That's the possibility what you have right now. And yeah, I could have taken another profit over here, because I added marching over here, so my entry, no, I added it over here because I needed that confirmation first. So my original entry right now is this black line, or yeah, the black line indeed. So right now my trade is looking a bit like this, let's say 700. So if price breaks down and creates a lower low, I'm gonna have to close this trade in order for me to keep having these two profits, because price is now turning against me if it breaks this trend line again, which I don't hope, because zoomed out again, price might go for that retest on the bigger picture, because the bigger picture always tells the truth in my eyes. So we had this trend breakout on the daily, price to go up, go down a bit, continuation up into this area. However, I'm a bit annoyed because of this, because right now I'm still in the trade 100%. It didn't took my take profit, and you could say like, yeah, but you can take 25% off right now, or you know how many percent you want. But I'm just gonna let this breathe basically and see how it goes. I hope for the price to go like this, close this gap, and continuation up, because at the moment we have made that higher high, and we are still in a uptrend because we have the higher lows as well. This I'll just close, but this is also potential to do at the same time, because you can trade both ways at the same time. So if I'm in this long and I knew, okay, I'm expecting some response from this gap, I could have set another short over here, but this price action went way too fast for me. If you look into here, even 15 minutes, it went up very quickly. Even the 3 minutes, yeah, it went up very quickly, and I wasn't really paying attention. I was just hoping for my alert to go and, you know, have my TP taken. So if we zoom in on the Bitcoin now, just on this 3 minute, let's say, then we will be going down for a bit, because you have this trend line up. It's not a nice line. Let me fix that. So we had this trend line, and we are currently at the first gap which we can break through, create that lower low maybe. However, on a smaller time frame like the 3-minute, price can go quicker than you think, because price could also just go down like this within 20 minutes maybe. And especially during the week, whenever you have a market open, price can do weird stuff. So I suggest not trading at market open, or like trade like in half an hour or an hour after market open, because whenever market opens, price will just snap up or snap down, especially with news from Trump lately. Then yeah, price could do really weird things. Let's say, here's a perfect example. Not really, but still. Anyways, let's just, this is Bitcoin for now. So if you zoom out of Bitcoin, we just hope for it to not break this trend line. Because at the moment my trade is just like this. Where is that? All right. My trade is at the moment like this. So I don't hope for it to break through and create that lower low. However, that is always possible. Are there any questions about this setup? Basically, it's just pretty simple. Eventually, like, I only trade on trend lines and gaps, and you know, you see how it works out. I can just look into one coin right now and just see what it might do or did based on that market structure. So if you have any coins that you want to see, let me know so I can dive into it. I do want to dive into Ethereum as well, because this is a analysis that I made in April 25. Yeah, when price was just hitting that gap over here. This was the moment where I made my analysis, and the moment when I wanted to see Ethereum go above 1800, because right here it's a good level, but I wanted to have it a close above 1800, or maybe even 1850. So yeah, I made this analysis. However, the potential here, because we had this close of the gap, we were making lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. So a potential short would be over here to create that lower low again. However, with this pattern, which is a falling wedge, because price came from the bottom and eventually falling down and making a wedge formation, this is just some wicks, but it's the same matter if you zoom in like the price action. So yeah, I was waiting for this, and I didn't took the bait eventually because I was having some personal matters. But I'm pretty happy, and especially if I see, okay, we slowly went through here, I would have taken the long from over here and the potential towards this gap that we had over there. And maybe, you know, even further, because I do think that Ethereum can go higher again. So the all-time high of Ethereum is for like 84 something. So with Ethereum now as well, let me remove these real quick. With Ethereum now as well, we had this breakout of the trend. We have run into this gap, aka supply, aka resistance, and this blue line as well, if you look back, is a level which I am making black with a level on the right, and these I will just remove for now. This black line, I'm gonna make it a level as well. And same for this black line. Then we had these gaps over here. Yeah, okay, so what I did eventually right now on the daily, we made a triple top. You can also see it a bit like the shampoo Head and Shoulders. But basically whenever, like the more it hits that resistance line, the weaker it will become. But eventually, you know, it keeps failing. So what could have happened, we created this trend line up a bit here because we made here that higher low and the higher low again. And eventually we made this higher high. But now we have made that lower high. I mean the lower low. So it broke through the trend line that I had on, let's say, the hourly. From, oh, a weird trend line. Let's say this was the trend that we had. So from here we made that lower high, I mean the higher lows over here. And eventually we broke down. And see that wick over here? Or that candle, the green candle? Perfect entry for a short because it made that lower, like the lower downtrend. Eventually, what happened, we broke through, had a slight retest on a level, which I see right now. So, hold on. Yeah, this here. So price broke down and the small, well, broke even down to the hourly gap. So broke down, had a retest on the gap, broke down again, went towards this gap. Now it went back to it again. And because we made this lower low, we also had the indication of that lower high. I think price will go down, make that lower low again, and continuation down on Ethereum. And then at the end, if you zoom out again, where would we go to? Because now we broke this, so let's remove it. Fartcoin, all right, I'll do it in a minute. So if we're gonna be looking at the dailies, we broke down the trend line. We had this, well, I'm not gonna call this a gap because it got closed by many wicks. So eventually what could happen right now is for Ethereum to go back to 2,200 again, or even potentially close that gap again. Horizontal 1 day gap. And I think, especially if you zoom out and, you know, technically speaking, this is very possible because we had a breakout of the trend of the pattern. Let it retest on this gap, and then we're gonna continue up. Let's say we target 3,600. This is what I think at the moment. So let me draw it for you basically. Let me first fix these with the correct names. One day. This is a level. Yep. And this is also a level 3060. So yeah, this black line can be gone. Let's make a path for price to do this, and continuation to the top again. How did I think about this one over here? Is basically because this gap over here might have influence. So let's say we make this so many colors. Let's make it purple with some dots or dashes, also fine. So this is potentially going to happen to Ethereum at the moment, I think. So let's save this and see how it goes in the future. Let's say in June, end of June, beginning of July. Yeah, something like that. All right, so Fartcoin. You want me to explain this, or like I already made this one? It's looking so simple, but yet people make loads of mistakes and get liquidized. Nice. Whatever. Just quickly checking what Bitcoin is doing. All right, let me set an alarm for here. Do we have the alarm now? Yeah, we do. Let's put it over here. All right, Fartcoin. Dave, I know you like Fartcoin, so let's see what we can do. It closed the daily. We still have this gap open at the top. Actually, we got two. However, the first gap already got closed by a wick. So this was a potential short already towards the first gap, which was here. You could have traded 100% with this, you know, exit with 100% over here. But we trade with TPs. So we take out a bit over here and we hope for continuation down. So let's say instead of 26%, you could have made 44%. However, in this case, just like Bitcoin, we broke through the uptrend. So I think we're gonna have a retest, continuation down. Yeah. Retest. Continuation down towards the next gap. So I think this will be a good setup with the potential of going towards here. Alrighty. Next, well, never mind. I'll dive into it a bit deeper. Let me just hide this one for now. So what happened here? Oh, yeah, like I said, so we had this this impulse down. And eventually we had to retest. Like I said, perfect entry for the short. And then same here as well. Because it made that lower low, we have our, well, and this lower high, in fact. So we have the indication, confirmation. We made that lower low. If you were late with this, don't enter here. Wait for the retest, because, you know, it will eventually make that lower high again. She respects MS. I know SM, but what is MS? Oh, market structure. Never mind. So eventually this could have also been the perfect entry if you look at it. Oh, this way, or even this way, because over here this one only had a wick, so why not enter here? And if you have more balls, take the next one. If you look at it from this point of view, it's just pretty, you know, pretty easy. It's like rock, paper, scissors, you know. It's not that hard. But I've had people making big mistakes before, or like send out technical analysis based on liquidity. Like you can trade on that as well. Like I don't mind. There's so many strategies, but yeah, it's just for me this technique works the best, and yeah. I mean, look at how the analysis go. I mean, it's pretty basic, but you don't need all these indicators, because all these indicators just give me loads of mess and stress. Like, yes, you could use indicators to help see things. Let's say the VRVP, which stands for Visual Range Volume Profile, which basically means at this price action, so at 1.1 blah blah blah, price has been traded for a long time. That's only in this range. Because if I zoom out on, let's say, the daily, we have a total different range. Now it's loading. Loading. Come on. Load, bitch. See, even indicators like this don't work eventually. There is a tool for you to use it. That's the fixed range volume, which simply means from this point to that point. So let's say Monday, 3rd of February till June 1. It shows you, okay, what price had the most price action. And if you zoom in, this price had loads of action over here, over here. So if we add lines over here, and let's make them dots and black, so we know which one it is. And we're gonna be zooming into them. This is just a level, basically. See how price touches the dotted line? And over here as well. So there are many indicators to use, but you don't really need it because you can see it yourself as well. That's basically what I'm trying to explain here. You also have many people play with tactics like this. The smart money concept, which is basically the same situation with lower lows, higher lows and higher highs. And eventually, whenever you have your first lower high, your first lower low, you have your indication, which means it's a change of character. Price with potential go here again, and then this is a break of structure, which means a downtrend. Liquidity changes, gets manipulated on altcoins. Exactly. If you have questions about that comment, let me know, because liquidity changes a lot. I think you even have a liquidity map. Liquidity heat map of Bitcoin from CoinGlass. Consent. So this is basically the liquidity right now on Bitcoin. I've never been using this, holy. Okay. Where you see liquidity lies over here at 1.4 for people that went long. So let's remove this, get lost. So a lot of people went long from over here. Where was the price at? $1.45. That's where it is right now. 1.41. Wow. Yeah, so people went long and their liquidity, like they traded into here. So they had an entry over here with a high leverage, which means that, whenever price goes down here again, you lost all of your money. But if price continues, you're gonna making a lot of money. But people trade on this and they think, okay, price will go back towards that liquidation because, the market maker basically wants to earn the most money and say, okay, liquidity is over here, let's let the price touch it, give me some money, and continuation up. Give me my money. That kind of stuff. If you're not subscribed, by the way, make sure to do it, and then you will get a notification whenever I go live again. If you have tips for me, please let me know, because this is basically my first live. I'm also just doing my best, basically. Is there any other coin that anyone wants to see? I had this one. Alright, so let's say we're gonna go there. Yeah, if there's any other coin, let me know, so I can dive into it for you. Guys, it's this easy. Like, you have a daily close over here of the gap, but if you zoom in, you have another gap. Perfect entry. It's that simple. Well, I say it's that simple, but many things apply, because this is a gap as well. So why didn't you go long over here? Simple, because it broke through that downtrend, through the uptrend. Whenever there's a gap over here and you break through a very big trend line like this, price isn't just going to do this and then continuation up. No, it broke through. So it will continue to break through until a good gap is closed. Not like just a simple hourly. No, it will close a good gap like this. This is weird here, you know. It's just chaotic. It's a mess. So price will go over here, close it, continuation up. I mean, go back up for the retest and then continuation down. Yeah, so we got Ethereum. I want to talk about Near as well. And this is a different coin, which I recently just traded with, basically. And here is why. So we have these 1 day gaps, and even this one got closed by a wick. So could have been a long into the gap, almost 70%. Whenever you go into an altcoin, the leverage that you use it wisely. So whenever you're in an altcoin like this, let's say my entry was over here, yeah? If I do a leverage of 10, my liquidation could be here. And if my stop loss is this line, does this work? No. If my stop loss is this line, but you get liquidated over here, you lost everything. So what you need to do, make sure your liquidation is below your stop loss, way below your stop loss. So whenever you're trading, let's say $10, yeah? Or let's say $100. So this is $100. The loss that I'm taking here, let's say is just $10 loss. If I go into leverage and it hits my liquidation, I lost 100. But with the stop loss on, let's say, the $10, I'm only losing $10. That's why risk management is so important, because I can have 10 trades where I'm losing $10, but look at the potential that I'm taking. So let's say this win to reward was 8.5. Let's make it 8.5. I'm not a stick. Okay, I'm fine with it. 8.5. I'm risking $10 of loss, which means that 8.5 times 10 is $85 profit based on this entry. $85 profit. That's basically 8 other trades that I could do like this. 8 risk-free trades. You're doing great. Don't use full screen. Can't see the prices. Don't use full screen? Oh, this one you mean? Oh, I see. Let me try to fix that real quick. How about now? Is this better? Yeah, I think it is. Much better. Okay. Chill guy. All right. Yeah, let me first dive into this. So what we had over here, we had a daily close. Not yet. Almost with a wick. Hmm. Yeah, however, I'm still going to talk about it. So, I went into this long, and now that I'm looking at it, it could go south for two reasons. So, we had this daily close, but just with the wick, it didn't fully close it, and maybe on the hour it did. It's not the best. I think I took this one based on the response of this kind of level and the black line level over here. I saw I had some response. It broke up. Continued. Well, it had a retest of that break, of course. So it went up, retest, formed a double bottom, just like Bitcoin. And this could potentially go back up here, retest on the wick, continuation up here. And from here, because we were still in a downtrend, I think it will create this lower high for continuation down. And this trade could still give me 17%. I think I have a margin of a leverage of 5%, so 17 times 5, do the math. I'm not really good at math. And I'm tired as well. So let's say 17.5. Oh, 17 times 5. Yeah, so still 80%. Oh, want me to open Bitcoin back again? I'm okay. Oh. Oh. This is starting to look better. So here, same situation, yeah. So what happened between the start of this this stream, basically? Price went down, like it didn't reach my stupid TP, which I got annoyed from. But it went down exactly on the impulse. Tell me this isn't working. Tell me this is a shit strategy. It went through the gap. It could have been going towards this gap as well. But what happens if that happened? Or even this one, by the way. So, if big chance for it to just go here and then go up again. But if it goes over here and it would take a bit longer and we close over here, we broke that uptrend. So what I hope to see for Bitcoin now is to hit my TP so I have profit again. And that we also created like I want Bitcoin to do this now. To go over here, make that higher high for the continuation. But what could happen now as well? I like near to Bitcoin just V-bounce off the VWAP. You're going to be live 18 hours a day. No, I'm not going to be 18 hours streaming. I think I'm gonna be streaming for like 25 minutes more. But yeah, this is something good from Bitcoin. Now we need to just continue. So I'm gonna do one more, which is chill Geo guy. Let me zoom out, start all over again, unless it's not needed, like these ones. Oh. Just by zooming out, what can we see? We see there's a level over here, simply because we have this wick that formed over here. No, I'm not buying it. This is a level. So there we go. It's not a gap, because this was a gap, which it closed. And this is just a level. This, not gonna be bothered about. And this was a gap. You're using SR to execute the trade. What do you mean by SR? I'm not really into the you know, the shortcuts from words, so please help me. SR, let me find it real quick. Crypto SR, meaning support and resistance. No, I don't trade on support and resistance. So I trade on support and resistance. Like, I use support and resistance as my confirmation, like, you know, extra help. But I basically trade on gaps. So let me just remove these gaps real quick so I can explain. Oh crap. I want this orange line real quick to be done. Okay, so what I mean by the gaps, right now we're at daily charts, and this impulse over here creates a gap for me. You can also call it a fair value gap or whatever you want to call it. I already began the stream with explaining it, but basically you can think of it like a fair value gap. However, a fair value gap is in between these two lines, but price often wants to go to the beginning of that impulse, so price will most likely go down into this impulse over here, and then, you know, have a response. But I use support and resistance to my it's like an extra help of hand, you know. It's just to confirm certain things, because sometimes we have a level right over at a gap. For example, just an example, this is a level. Combine it together with that gap will give you double confirmation, you know, to take that trade. However, if you have a very strong level, let's say over here, and you're going to take this trade from over here, and you expect it to go straight through that level again, I mean, 100% you're gonna have some resistance over here, maybe a retest, and then continuation up. So however you want to trade, you can set orders like pre-orders and enter here, price goes up, probably goes down to retest, continuation up. But you should also always wait for that confirmation as well. Yeah, I kind of explained it already, but there's so many tactics or trade methods where you can trade on. That's just insane. If I'm just going to be searching how many crypto strategies are there. Oh, this is new by AI. Single number. Look at how many tactics there are. 10 best tactics. Oh, fuck off. But eventually you're gonna have to pick your own strategy. The one that works for you. This one works for me perfectly, as you know, I kind of explained earlier as well. This works for me, and 9 out of the 10 times this is just working 100%. And you can ask Dave, because I've been helping Dave as well. Dave is a bit stubborn sometimes, and he doesn't listen, and then he says, sorry, you were right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. If you're still watching, by the way. You've seen some MACD strategies. They seem pretty simple to follow. MACD. I remember something like MACD. This is MACD. This is what you mean, yeah? With the MACD? Let me just confirm it. This is MACD, correct? The one that you're trying to explain, Kilo? So basically what MACD means, yeah. So you have these two indicators, yeah, on MACD. The blue line is for green, which means this could be a buy signal when it crosses the orange line. So this would give you a signal, okay, you have to buy, and eventually price goes up. And this is based on volume, I think. However, when it turns through that orange line, so the orange line breaks the blue line now, it's gonna give you that sell signal, or you know, open your short here. However, this is only showing you, like, you know, you're too late whenever you're going to see it. Because over here, whenever, let's just zoom in real tight on this. Let's say we are watching from here, yeah? So what do we see now? We see, hey, the orange line is crossing the blue line. This is a sell signal. We had volume going down, so sell signals will most likely going to happen now. It crosses it. Yay, we're in green, as in, you know, our short is going perfectly right now. But then, two volume nodes. Well, that's just 2 days in this case. And then it's crossing the blue line again. Which means that if you were still in that short, and you were in that short at the, you know, you were at it too late, because most likely you see the signal, you're entering here. You see the signal, you enter here. And then you lost your trade. So yes, you can use indicators to trade. However, don't do it. Literally never trade on an indicator. Never. Because an indicator is always too late. Like, it could show, you also have this market cipher, where it's showing you some buy signals here and there. basically works a bit the same like this or like RSI. And RSI, I can show you real quick. Works basically the same, but this is basically showing, okay, there's, you know, the price is overextended. Here it's underbought, so price will most likely go back up. I know you make money, Dave. But at the end, you have to listen a bit more towards me. But yeah, Kilo, yeah, it was Kilo. If you're going to be using indicators, especially for example in this trade here, so let's see how it responds on our trade setup over here now. On the hourly, see, it's over here because this price went down a bit over here. It says you had to buy, you had to sell. And over here you had to buy again, but it crossed the line over here. So if I'm going to be using a vertical line, it crossed the line over here, correct? Which means I'm going to have to enter over here, which means I'm in the middle of a range, which means if price goes up and down to close this gap, I am in red. I am stressing as fuck. I'm losing money this way. Exactly what I'm saying, right? And even over here, price gives the sell signal, still sell signal, still sell signal, and over here you need to buy, which is telling me, okay, I need to buy at this green candle, but price goes down, even though it's still telling me to buy. See how weird some indicators work? So whenever you're trading, don't use an indicator to trade, use it as a confirmation. And if I'm going to recommend indicators, use RSI, simply to see, okay, where let me drink real fast. So it's something to be used with other indicators, making it more confusing than just using trends. Indicators are just indicators, you know, helps out a hand. So an indicator tries to help you out. And there's so many indicators. These are just normal ones. But let's say market. Look at how many indicators there are based on market. There's so many indicators, and you also always see like good indicators with buy signals and sell signals. Yes, it could be a good one at the end, but that signal will be given too late. So let's say I am in a trade, let's say a short from here. So I'm gonna just place that short order real quick for you. This is my short order. I placed this short entry based on the gap. It hit by a wick. Over here, that indicator is telling you sell, sell, sell. Which means, yes, you're in a short. Yes, it could be for your benefit, so you could make money going short here. But it was too late. So it's a risky place to go in here, because price could have been potentially closing this gap and continuation up. See what I'm, you know, trying to explain to you? That market structure with higher lows, lower highs, and a change of character based on these gaps entries can be very efficient for you. And if you're using indicators, you will be too late. It will be too risky because you're just guessing. And I'm not saying crypto is like gambling, but whenever you're using indicators like that, you are gambling. And whenever you're doing an analysis like this, pure based on data, and like let's say a 90% chance of happening, then I would say you're not gambling in this case. I mean, you're still playing with money, so it has that title, but it's not directly gambling compared to, let's go, compared to going to the casino. Next stream suggests identifying and plotting ranges. Sure thing. Yeah, we can do that next week. I'm gonna be having a night. I'm gonna be having night shifts upcoming week, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be streaming then. But I could just do it a week, like weekly streams like these, and on our Discord, which is in the description down below. You can join our Discord for free. We also have like a paid version over there as well. But yeah, the free Discord is for anyone to be just joining. You can share your crypto trades there, chat with others, do whatever. It's pretty well. It's not new, but it's not fully populated yet. So we're trying to improve the Discord server. But I can show you a bit how that's been. Oh. So whenever you join, you have like the announcements channels, and over here the free section with chat, market updates, which are pretty detailed if you ask me. Especially for free, you can just have this for free. Right now it's in Dutch. However, this could potentially go into English soon, or just copy paste it into a translator. For now, we got a winners wall. Look at me having fun. But most like trades, just show them in here. A Discord server always needs a meme page, right? Oh, I'm in the way. Hold on. I'm in the way. There we go. And then yeah, we also have like the gold sections where we give out coin tips like altcoins and the potentials of it, crypto trades, also market structures, but then more into details. And since now you also have the TAs of me sharing Bitcoin, and I was on vacation and I saw this trade, so I took it and I had to share it through the phone, and look how it ended. So first it went to 103,400. That was my original target. Went exactly to that point. Re-entered here. Break through that trend line. And broke through this trend line as well. So we had this retest of the gap. Went down to the neckline. Continuation up. And I share this whenever I have an update on Bitcoin, but I might add another section here for altcoins, which I just discussed, like chill on the daily, which I didn't even talk about yet. Sorry, I'm a bit tired, but yeah. So I'm expecting for a change to be happening here. A retest on the following gap that's about to be created. Continuation down, eventually towards 0.03. And if you think about it, hold on, this is option 1. Option 2 would be for it to have enough support over here. So I'm gonna call it demand, but it's support. So if it has enough support over here, it could potentially go back up to the gap over here. Ugh. 1 day gap. We're gonna be adding this one here as well. And this is still valid in my eyes eventually. Let me just do this real quick. Give me a sec. Sunday, Monday, New Year close are perfect for making a weekly plan. So streaming on Sunday like this is nice. You would want it in the future as well. So the potential right now would be this continuation down. See at the two potentials at the moment. So based on this, yeah, based on this, we're in the middle of a range here. Going into a long or a short right now, based on this, is not recommended because, you know, it could go both ways. And eventually it could all go down. But if it makes that higher high here, then, you know, price could even continue going up again. But in my eyes, we went for this high. We were not strong enough over here. So over bless me. So what would be perfect for here? Like we hit this TP over here. We retested. Eventually price went up again. And now we have to retest it again over here. Like this gap over here needs to be tested and accepted for continuation up. But it didn't. And price broke through the trend that it was having. Thank you, Kilo. So yeah, this is chill. Then we spoke about Ethereum and NEAR. And I'm hoping, like, whenever we're looking at the trend on NEAR at the moment, we're forming another downtrend here. Let's make it black. And Yeah, you really see that, you know, it's going to have to either break through over here, or it will close the gap for continuation down. And then it will break this trend, and then price could continue going over here on near. Screenshots, big help. You took the screenshots? I think I will be sharing Chill and Ethereum on a new channel on the gold member subscription on our Discord page. But whenever you're on the stream, use me well, if you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to be closing the stream. Let's see how Bitcoin is doing on the very end here. I'm hoping for it to hit my TP because I got mad here. I was emotionally damaged because of the wick not touching my entry. I mean my TP. But eventually for Bitcoin now as well on the 15 candle time frame, I need to see a higher high here. And if it doesn't, and it created this double top for going down, price could break this trend here. And if that happens, so if the trend breaks down this trend line, I mean if the price breaks down this trend line again, I am counting this as one group and a potential second group for that double bottom effect. Price go up into the resistance, down to the neckline, continuation up, continuation up. But that's for later. And if it does break, I am coming with alternatives on the trade. As for now, I will be showing my... I'm not lying that I'm in this trade, so just want you guys to know that I do take these trades as well. I am in profit with Bitcoin at the moment, and also on near as well. And this is a times 10 leverage, but my liquidation over there is very far away from my entry, so I'm safe. Whenever you trade, make sure you trade safe. And if you're new, forget what I said. Trade with $10, put a high leverage, get liquidated, learn from it, and never do it again. Because you have to make mistakes in order to learn. That's just a fact. I'm gonna have to dive into the speed of the stream, because it takes a couple of seconds for it to come on the live stream. Could be annoying sometimes. Post a link to Discord. The link is basically underneath here. So in my description, you can... Oh, this is wrong. Alright, let me do it for you, lazy man. This is the Discord to join. If you haven't registered to BitUnix yet and you wish to trade, make sure to trade on the link below, and also join the Discord, because you're linked to a community that way, and that way we can make challenges for the community. Let's say trading volume, where we can all get a reward for it. Not gonna call this TP. Okay, so I am going to set my alarm over here, because whenever we're looking at the 15, it didn't close the 15. And I do wish for Bitcoin to close my 15 gap from here. This is what I want. Boop. 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 Okay. Make sure to join the Discord. Direct me, like message me on Discord, talk to me on Discord, whenever, wherever. And I'll see you next week on, let's say, Sunday. I will be sharing and alerting on the Discord, so make sure to be on it. Okay. All right, guys, have a good one.